everybody. Welcome back to Nate Reads Diversely. First off, I need to kind of apologize because I took down my website. I'm pretty much like rebranding everything. So the website, I'm building a coffee. So there's going to be like a whole you know all the details of like where to find me and stuff on social media and previous videos. Just like push that out of your mind, forget it, because there's going to be a whole new thing that I'm setting up, and that's going to be out soon. So this title is not necessarily clickbait, but it could, it could help you if you have like a really death heavy plot, and like, sometimes killing a marginalized character can't be avoided, and that's fine. Why do we get upset when a marginalized character dies? And usually the answer is like because um more marginalized characters die on average, or at least first. Usually they're usually the first to die. More of them usually die, and their deaths are usually like needless in terms of like they usually don't have an arc of their own. They usually only die to for either further non-marginalized characters arc in some way, or they are just to kind of like teach the audience how precious life is. Two things to keep in mind when you decide that marginalized character in your story needs to die. Because I don't know your story. I don't know if you have like a really battle heavy plot, or if you're writing a horror story, and you do need to kill off a marginalized character. The most important thing to remember is don't kill your marginalized characters in the same way that they would die in real life. So like or a death that has like significant historical weight to it. Like if you have a Jewish character and they die by being shoved into an oven, I shouldn't need to explain what's wrong with that. And also just like pay attention as to like how like characters in this group typically die, because I'll say like it with disabled characters. I mean, their death is usually comes up in like the third act, like for no reason. Like they'll just die. Like the story could be about like baseball, and the one disabled kid on the team like will die after like a really like heartwarming thing in like the beginning of the third act, and it's like, wait, what? Why? What is the narrative, like plot specific significance of their death? If you're writing like a contemporary low stakes story, if death wouldn't be a part of the story, if it doesn't make sense to include death in the story, then like don't include, you don't necessarily need to have a death. So just ask yourself, like, would this still be the same story if the marginalized character survived? If the answer is yes, then the marginalized character doesn't have to die. Like the example that I gave, just now, just off the top of my head, where it's like, that would it still be like a heartwarming baseball story about friendship, if like all of them lived, it's so because disabled children typically die in stories because to have like an emotional impact, which is not a good enough reason to include a character in the story if like their only purpose of including that in there is to just kill them at the end. And they didn't have like an actual like arc of their own. Like what are you building towards? It's like if the whole purpose of including them in there is to just kill them at the end, like that's not a good enough reason to put them in there. Also, like, did they have a hand in their own death? Like, let's say you're writing a crime drama and like you have like a marginalized prosecutor, and someone who they put away ends up not being the person who they thought they were, and then they die, and it's like, oh my God, like, so and then they face retaliation from like the person's family. I mean, that's like, so their decisions ended up like creating their current circumstances. I mean, that gives you a lot of room to create like flaws. Like it gives you a way to foreshadow their death if they have to die, and what their backstory is, and like what led them to that point, basically. Because like if you have a marginalized character who like gives no indication that they need to die for any reason, and then they just die because they are marginalized, and that kind of perpetuates the idea that people like them are expendable by the narrative, if they just die just because. They if they are to die, like they should have a little bit of a hand in their own death. I'm gonna include like a couple of quick fixes. At least one other member of that group should survive. So like let's say you have a trans character who has to die for whatever reason. Like maybe it's like a battle, maybe it's who knows. Uh, have at least one other trans character survive. Basically have multiples of, every group that you're writing about, because that way like one character isn't representing their whole group, and you're basically not, showing your hand by being like, oh, like, you're basically not allowing your own narrative to you know to tell the reader it's like I think that trans people are expendable by killing the one trans character I have, and if they need to die, like, you could also have them be survived by like a child or like a protege who ends up taking over where they left off in whatever arc they have, assuming they have an arc, which they should. I would actually kind of give you some questions to think about. Why does this particular character have to die? Is it for a dramatic effect? I mean, only, or is it because of something that they actually did? What are the after effects of their death? So like does the story change in any way because of their death? Does the plot change, or does it stay the same, or would it have stayed the same if they survived? Um, does this character have an arc of their own before they died? And is their death merely an excuse to make the white cishet characters melodramatically ponder how precious life is? And again, like that's more common than you would think. So I hope this was helpful, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.